Welcome to this deep dive. If you're listening to this, you are probably actively managing the operational friction that comes with the rapidly shifting landscape of digital media.
Right. You definitely already know the stakes.
Exactly. You know the stakes. That's why today's deep dive serves as a special audio overview for the podcast Ad Ops Roundup.
And we need to establish right at the top that this material is provided by Energizer.
Yes, Ad Energizer. They're a company that's fundamentally dedicated to helping publishers and podcasters monetize their content in a significantly smarter, more efficient way.
Yeah, they actually launched the Ad Ops Roundup podcast to tackle these exact industry bottlenecks.
So today we are unpacking some of their most crucial strategic insights.
It's just a really necessary resource for the space right now. I mean, the operational realities of managing campaigns, they're moving incredibly fast.
Well, for sure.
And having a dedicated audio overview to synthesize these workflow shifts, it's vital for anyone actually running a desk or leading a revenue operations team.
Absolutely. So the foundation of our deep dive today relies on two really comprehensive pieces of source material provided by Ad Energizer.
Right.
First, we have their essential notes in Ad Ops Roundup, the Ad Energizer Monetization Guide.
A great guide.
And along with that, a highly detailed industry report titled The New Era of Connected TV Advertising Operations.
Yeah, and to set the stage here, the overarching narrative across both these documents is just undeniable.
It really is. Connected TV, CTV, it's no longer this quirky experimental bucket for leftover digital video budget.
No, not at all. It's the dominant force now.
Right. It's actively cannibalizing traditional linear TV budgets as streaming viewership overtakes cable. And the global ad spend trajectory for CTV, it is locked on this steep upward curve straight through 2026.
Straight up.
Okay, let's unpack this. Why does this structural shift matter at the execution level? And how are ad ops teams having to completely rewire their workflows just to adapt?
Well, the underlying philosophy of television advertising has been totally upended, which inherently changes the operational mandate.
Makes sense.
Historically, linear TV was a top-of-the-funnel, reach-based execution.
You just bought specific programming blocks to maximize raw reach.
Exactly. And the fulfillment of that impression delivery was the end of the transaction. You served the ad, you were done.
But the source material highlights that with CTV, the mandate has shifted from maximizing raw reach to delivering highly measurable bottom-of-the-funnel performance outcomes.
Right. We are looking at direct attribution, brand lift, and provable business value tied directly to that screen in the living room.
And that structural shift, moving from just impressions to actual performance, that means the death of just getting views.
It really does. It's no longer a viable strategy for an ad ops director to pull a delivery report showing a campaign served in full and, call it a success.
Yeah, because the buy side is demanding receipts. They want to see actual return on ad spend.
Which completely changes the daily reality for anyone trafficking or managing these campaigns. The planning and forecasting phases, they can no longer rely solely on historical impression volume.
Or just basic pacing projection.
Exactly. The workflows must now tie directly into performance outcomes.
Yeah.
When an ad ops manager sets up a campaign today, they have to forecast not just the available inventory against a specific audience segment, but the probability of that audience taking a measurable action post-exposure.
Which introduces a massive layer of complexity if your tech stack is still built for, say, the 2018 digital video ecosystem.
Oh, totally. It breaks the whole system.
And that operational friction brings up a critical concept from the Ad Energizer Monetization Guide. For years, the industry treated CTV as an isolated silo.
Right, its own weird little island.
Yeah. You had the linear TV buyers and operations over here, the digital video teams handling pre-roll over there, and CTV floating somewhere in the middle.
But the guide explicitly states those silos are falling. They are being replaced by what they call converged TV planning.
Converged TV planning. So how does that look in practice?
Converged planning forces the unification of linear TV, digital video, and CTV performance into a single, holistic framework. Ad ops teams are now tasked with managing yield, frequency capping, and delivery across all those screens simultaneously.
Wow. So you aren't pacing a CTV campaign in a vacuum anymore.
Not at all. You're pacing it in relation to what the household is already seeing on traditional linear and on mobile digital video.
That holistic approach really reflects the reality of the consumer, though. I mean, as a viewer, you don't differentiate between a feed coming through a set-top box, a web browser, or a native smart TV app.
Exactly, you're just watching video content.
But from an operational standpoint, treating all of those disparate delivery mechanisms as one fluid ecosystem that requires a total overhaul of measurement.
The massive overhaul.
Because we are obviously long past the days of relying on traditional panel-based TV ratings. But standard digital video metrics don't paint the full picture for the living room either, so what does this mean for measurement?
The operational shift in measurement is profound. We're moving far beyond those legacy metrics. The industry is standardizing around advanced cross-screen analytics.
The sources point specifically to 3 metrics defining this new era, right? Attention, incremental reach, and attribution modeling.
Yes. Let's look at attention metrics. They go beyond simple viewability to determine if a user was actually engaged with the ad rather than it just playing to an empty room while the TV was left on.
Which happens all the time. But incremental reach seems to be the most critical operational metric there.
It absolutely is.
Because it's the mathematical proof that your CTV spend is actually capturing net new households, rather than just hammering the exact same audience that was already exposed to the campaign on traditional linear television.
Right. And tracking that incrementality and then tying those viewing exposures to actual conversions across a highly fragmented device landscape that requires intense back-end data processing.
The Ad Energizer report specifically emphasizes the reliance on advanced identity resolution and the deployment of data clean rooms to handle this safely.
Yes, data clean rooms are essential now.
Let's dig into the mechanics of data clean rooms for a second, because the term gets thrown around a lot in pitch decks, but the operational reality of setting one up is highly technical.
Highly technical. It's essentially a secure, decentralized environment utilizing cryptographic methods.
Right. So a publisher or streaming platform brings their first-party exposure data, and a brand brings their first-party conversion data.
And the clean room allows those 2 distinct data sets to be matched. They often use multi-party computation or differential privacy techniques to calculate attribution.
And the key is they do this without either side ever exposing the underlying personally identifiable information, or PII.
Exactly. It allows ad ops to safely measure performance outcomes in a highly regulated, privacy-first ecosystem.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. That cryptographic matching is a heavy technical lift, which makes a seamless segue into the most disruptive force in the tech stack right now, artificial intelligence.
Oh yeah, AI changes everything.
The Ad Energizer notes make it abundantly clear that AI is deeply embedded into modern CTV workflows. We aren't just talking about theoretical roadmaps anymore. We're talking about active deployment in planning, optimization, and ad delivery.
The fundamental rewiring of ad ops is happening through AI automation. The report points out that AI-powered tools are now taking over the manual levers of campaign management.
What's the biggest shift you're seeing there?
One of the most significant advancements is generative creatives. It's the ability for the platform to dynamically adjust elements of the video creative on the fly based on real-time audience signals.
That concept is a massive departure from standard A/B testing. Instead of an agency delivering a static 30-second spot and a 15-second cut down for an ad ops manager to traffic, the system is programmatically matching the available inventory,
rendering a specific creative variation in milliseconds.
Yeah, maybe swapping a localized product offer or adjusting the background and serving it to optimize engagement instantly. But wait, that raises a massive question about control.
It does.
If the AI is making real-time, dynamic creative decisions at scale, who takes the blame when the system miscalculates? What happens when an inappropriate or poorly rendered ad variation serves against premium, brand-safe content?
Right, that's in the fear.
Doesn't this automation strip the ad ops manager of their core responsibility, which is quality control?
That is the exact tension the industry is grappling with right now. But the operational safeguard is that ad ops professionals aren't relinquishing control. Their role is elevating.
Elevating from manual execution to strategic oversight.
Exactly. They're no longer trafficking individual files. They are setting the parameters, the guardrails, and the brand safety exclusions that govern the AI. The AI executes the variations, but the ad ops team builds the logical fences.
That makes a lot of sense.
Furthermore, AI is heavily utilized in predictive planning, which actually increases control over the campaign's success.
Yes, the report highlights predictive planning as a major operational advantage, forecasting delivery issues mid-flight before they completely derail a campaign's pacing.
Consider a scenario where an ad ops team is managing a complex, multi-million-dollar Converged TV campaign. In the past, they might only realize the campaign is severely underpacing during a weekly reporting poll.
And by then, correcting the course requires a massive, inefficient spend dump.
Right. But with predictive APIs, the AI models analyze a 72-hour pacing window, recognize that a specific high-value audience segment isn't scaling due to inventory constraints, and automatically flag the issue to the human team.
While suggesting a pivot in the bidding strategy,
Exactly.
that mid-flight salvage operation completely changes the day-to-day reality of the job. I mean, for anyone who remembers the pain of manually pulling pacing reports out of 5 different DSPs on a Friday afternoon, this translates into significantly leaner workflows.
Much leaner. Less time spent on error fixing, manual delivery checks, and tedious data entry.
Because the platforms are offering robust APIs for dynamic campaign updates and real-time reporting, which means the ad ops role transitions from a trafficker to a strategic revenue analyst.
They are now free to focus on high-level optimization, advanced forecasting, and yield management. The campaign adjustment cycles are dramatically faster, reacting to live performance insights rather than retroactive end-of-month spreadsheets.
But for that AI locomotive to run at peak efficiency, it needs standardized tracks.
That's the real challenge.
The fragmentation of the early CTV days was a legitimate trafficking nightmare. I think about the ad ops managers in 2019 who had to manually transcode and traffic dozens of different video aspect ratios, byte rates, and VAST tag wrappers.
Just to get a single campaign to run across a handful of smart TV apps and gaming consoles.
Yes. But the Ad Energizer report highlights that the industry is finally taming that fragmented canvas.
The standardization driven by the IAB Tech Lab is arguably the most critical operational relief for the industry.
The Interactive Advertising Bureau's technical body.
Right, they have successfully pushed standardized CTV ad formats into the ecosystem. The report specifically details the widespread adoption of pause ads, overlays, in-scene ads, and screensaver ads.
Pause ads are a prime example of operational elegance. The user hits pause, and instead of a frozen pixelated frame, a high-resolution static ad seamlessly renders on the screen.
It looks great.
But the true value isn't just the user experience, it's the back-end standardization. Fewer custom creative builds directly translate to faster campaign setups and significantly fewer QA errors.
Exactly. When an ad ops team doesn't have to manage 15 different proprietary specs for a single pause ad execution, the delivery fidelity across multiple platforms skyrockets.
Which ties back to the AI.
That standardized canvas is exactly what allows the dynamic AI creative generation we discussed earlier to actually function at scale. If the parameters are uniform, the AI can programmatically insert overlays or in-scene product placements without breaking the publisher's video player.
It creates a frictionless supply chain. But that supply chain is currently colliding with the reality of data deprecation. With third-party cookies fundamentally out of the picture, how does targeting even work now?
It's a massive challenge.
The operational challenge of targeting and frequency capping in a converged TV environment is huge. You can't rely on legacy tracking pixels to follow a user from their laptop to their living room screen.
No, you can't. The addressability framework has had to become incredibly sophisticated. The Ad Energizer Monetization Guide underscores that CTV now completely relies on a privacy-first identity approach.
Right.
AdOps is executing addressable targeting through the utilization of first-party data and privacy-centric identifiers.
Yeah.
Most notably, hashed household IDs.
A hashed household ID requires taking authenticated user data like a logged-in email address for a premium streaming service and processing it through a cryptographic hashing algorithm.
Right.
And the output is an anonymized, deterministic string of characters. It allows the buy side to target a specific household profile and frequency cap across multiple devices without ever accessing the raw underlying consumer identity.
The daily function of an AdOps team now heavily involves managing these complex data partnerships. They are tasked with securely integrating a brand's first-party CRM data into the publisher's environment and managing cross-platform identity graphs.
And that identity graph serves as the connective tissue, probabilistically or deterministically linking the smartphone, the tablet, and the connected TV to a single household node.
AdOps has transitioned away from buying lazy, cookie-based audience segments into highly technical data stewardship. They're authenticating audiences for optimized performance while strictly maintaining user privacy.
And while AdOps teams are managing complex cryptographic hashes and identity graphs, they also have to build defenses against the persistent threat of invalid traffic.
IVT is a huge issue.
The Ad Energizer material shines a harsh light on inventory quality. Whenever a massive influx of brand budget shifts into a relatively nascent digital environment like CTV, the bad actors inevitably follow.
They always do. The growth in open programmatic CTV, where inventory is traded automatically across open exchanges, has resulted in highly sophisticated forms of invalid traffic.
We aren't just talking about basic data center bots clicking on banners anymore.
No, in the CTV space, the primary threat is often server-side ad insertion spoofing.
SSAI spoofing is a massive operational headache. It is essentially bad actors using server farms to generate millions of fake ad requests, perfectly mimicking the behavior of legitimate smart TVs requesting ad pods during a live stream.
Yes, the ads are served to servers in a basement, but the buy side is charged for premium living room impressions.
The advertisers are rightfully demanding transparency and proof of human viewership. So how are modern ad ops teams actually building the guardrails to mitigate this at the execution level?
The report details a clear operational pivot. Ad ops teams are implementing stringent supply path optimization, or SPO. They are heavily integrating pre-bid verification partners directly into their workflows to filter out known bad IP ranges and spoof device signatures before a bid is even submitted.
That's critical.
But the most structural shift is the migration away from blind open exchange buying.
Because throwing budget into the open market void and hoping the algorithm finds legitimate inventory is no longer justifiable.
Exactly the opposite. The workflow has shifted toward curated inventory packages and private marketplaces, or PMPs.
Which is much safer.
By executing deals through trusted, verified pools of premium supply, ad ops dramatically reduces the exposure to IVT. It requires tighter relationship management and stricter deal ID troubleshooting, but it guarantees that the performance metrics and the incrementality models we discussed earlier are based on actual human behavior.
Which brings this entire deep dive full circle. You cannot promise an advertiser measurable business outcomes, direct attribution, or incremental reach if your campaign delivery is polluted by spoofed server traffic. Accountability is the foundation of this new era.
The ecosystem has matured structurally. The methodologies for buying media, standardizing ad formats, measuring cross-screen incrementality, and protecting user privacy have all evolved simultaneously. It's creating a highly complex but vastly more effective converged TV environment.
So, what does this all mean? If you are an ad ops leader evaluating your tech stack and your team's workflow for 2026, let's do a bottom line recap of the operational realities.
Good idea.
First, the industry mandate has completely shifted from fulfilling impression goals to demanding provable performance, which requires adopting attribution modeling and data clean rooms to securely match conversion data.
Yep.
Second, the era of manual trafficking is being replaced by AI-augmented automation. Your team's value is no longer in data entry. It is in strategic oversight, managing predictive pacing algorithms, and setting the guardrails for dynamic generative creatives.
Third, the siloed video teams must be integrated. Converged TV planning is the operational standard, requiring unified frequency capping and yield management across linear, digital video, and CTV.
And finally, none of this functions without standardizing the canvas via IAB Tech Lab formats and securing the supply path through curated inventory packages and hashed identity graphs to combat advanced IVT.
Adapting to these massive structural changes is exactly why Energizer provided this ad ops roundup material.
Exactly. To help publishers and podcasters monetize efficiently in this rapidly evolving landscape, you have to understand the operational mechanics of the tools and the industry standards before your current workflows become obsolete.
You know, this transition does raise a fascinating question regarding the ultimate trajectory of the industry.
Oh, what are you thinking?
Well, we've detailed how AI is dynamically tailoring localized creative variations in real time. We've examined how IAB's standardized formats are weaving high-resolution overlays seamlessly into pause screens and rendering native products directly into the actual scenes of a broadcast.
Yeah.
As this technology becomes increasingly sophisticated, highly targeted, and seamlessly integrated into the viewing experience, will the audience of the future even realize they are looking at a distinctly trafficked ad? Or will the visual boundary between the content they are streaming and the commerce we are serving simply disappear completely?
That is a wild thought to leave off on. Thank you so much for joining us for this special audio overview deep dive. We hope it provided the actionable insights and strategic clarity you need to navigate and optimize your workflows for the new era of CTV. Stay curious, stay informed, and we will catch you on the next one. Warm goodbyes from us.